Hey guys, welcome back. You're probably moisturizing your skin wrong, so let me teach you how to do it right in our Skincare for Starters series. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Skincare for Starters. This series is designed for anybody who doesn't know much of anything about how to care for their skin. We're covering the basics, and even if you know a fair amount, you can probably pick up some tips and tricks here, because I'm covering everything you need to know about how to take care of your skin, from cleansing to moisturizing to using active ingredients and prescription ingredients, many of the things that we're going to cover along this series. If you missed the last video that I did in the Skincare for Starters, we covered everything you need to know about cleansing your skin. You can find that video up here. And that's going to talk about how to choose a cleanser, whether you want active ingredients or a gentle cleanser, and how frequently you should be washing your skin. So make sure to check that out if you haven't before you move on to this video, which covers everything you need to know about picking a moisturizer and using that for your skincare routine. Now, the reality is that most people need a pretty simple skincare routine. You don't need to add a bunch of active ingredients. As long as you're doing the basics, your skin's going to do well for a long, long time. Now, of course, those really basic steps are cleansing your skin, which we've covered before, using a sunscreen every day, which we will cover, moisturizing when needed, and then we can talk about actives, which are, I think, pretty darn important if you pick a couple of really good ones, but they're not necessary for every single person if you're in the habit of wearing sunscreen every day. So let's talk about moisturizing. What purpose does it serve? Well, our skin is pretty good about regulating itself. It serves a few important functions. Of course, that skin, the cells and the skin barrier, which is made of lipids and proteins, is designed to keep water and our blood and everything inside the body, and to keep pathogens like bacteria, viruses, and fungus outside of the body. And that's really a pretty tough barrier to get things across. Now, of course, some things do absorb across there. They have to be engineered that way. Certain solvents can get through there easily, and that's why we worry about some things that are carcinogenic. But the reality is that most of the time when your skin barrier is functioning like it should, you're going to be doing really well. So the purpose of a moisturizer is to reinforce that skin barrier. It's not necessarily pushing water into your skin, but it's more about giving that skin barrier the things that it needs to hold the water in and to keep the pathogens out. We're just trying to optimize the function of your skin barrier, because when you start using active ingredients or when you don't care for your skin the way that you should, it's possible to break down that skin barrier, and then you run into problems like eczema, irritation, acne, among many other things. Just like when we talked about using cleansers, you can pick a moisturizer based on your skin type. So if you have very dry skin, very sensitive skin, you're going to want a thicker moisturizer. Now, I love a thick moisturizer. They're really good for my skin type because I tend to be more dry and more sensitive. But if you have very oily skin, you may not need a moisturizer in your skincare routine, or you might need a more lightweight gel type moisturizer. And we're going to talk about some of those, some of the ones you can get over the counter, and you can pick the one that's going to work well for your skin type. You don't have to spend a ton of money on a moisturizer either. You can get really a good quantity of a very basic moisturizer that will do great for your skin for just about $10 to $15 that'll last really a long time. Or you can spend upwards of $120, $150 on a moisturizer if you really want something that's a high grade, physician dispensed premium product. Although those might be nice, they're really not necessary for everybody to go out and purchase because they're so expensive, even if they're nice as a really nice product. So let's dive into it. The morning routine. When are you going to moisturize there? Well, if you've cleansed your face in the morning, then it's okay to go ahead and moisturize. And then I would recommend that you put on a sunscreen. Now, if you use any active products, if you use serums like vitamin C or other antioxidants, then you want to put that on before you put on the moisturizer, because the moisturizer really is going to be one of your last steps in the skincare routine. The general rule you want to follow is thinnest to the thickest product. So serums are going to go on before a moisturizer. And then I always recommend sunscreen as the last step in the morning. At nighttime, it kind of works the same way. You're going to cleanse your face, and then you're going to apply any actives that you have or any prescriptions from your dermatologist, and then stop the last step with your moisturizer, and then you go ahead and go to bed at that point. Now let's cover a few questions and clear up some misconceptions out there about different things that you might find in your skincare routine. Now, it is beneficial oftentimes to apply your moisturizer to damp skin. That helps to hold on to that water that's on the surface and really create a nice barrier. So if you do have the ability to apply that moisturizer, for example, when you're getting out of the shower and your skin is still a little damp, you can put that on your face and then go ahead and put on sunscreen. You're good to go for the day. If you're doing body skincare as well, which I think you should, you want to make sure to apply a body moisturizer to damp skin when you get out of the shower. It does a much better job to help hold that moisture on the surface of the skin so that you don't get moisture escaping from the body. When you get dry skin, you're going to get itchy, you're going to lead to eczema. I recognize that it's not always possible in your skincare routine to use that on damp skin, but if you can, I do think it's beneficial, especially for the body. In the evening time, the same principle can go. After you've cleansed your face, if it's still a little bit damp, you go ahead and moisturize. But if you're using active ingredients like a retinol, for example, you'll know that you're really encouraged to put a retinol or a retinoid on dry skin. Using a retinoid on damp skin really increases the penetration and significantly increases the risk of irritation. So in that case, you're going to be applying a moisturizer to dry skin, and that is A-OK because, again, you're trying to prevent irritation and dryness of the skin. And if you then make your skin damp and you've already put a retinol on there, it's really going to cause more problems. So when it comes to choosing your moisturizer, how are you going to make an educated decision to find the one that works well for you? Well, when we talk about cost, that's one thing that's very important to consider. And I'm telling you, even for facial skincare, you cannot go wrong with a thick cream, even if it's intended for the body. A couple of my favorites are CeraVe and Cetaphil cream. These work great as facial moisturizers. They're really not that expensive when you talk about how much you get in a jar, and you can use them over and over. It's going to last months if you do that as your primary facial moisturizer. So definitely okay to use something like this. I will commonly use one of those as my primary facial moisturizer because they do a great job to really build that barrier on your skin. They contain ceramides and other barrier building ingredients to really protect your skin. Now, I do like other good thick cream-based moisturizers that are made specifically for the face, so I want to make a couple of recommendations for that as well. A few of my other favorite moisturizers include the Skin Fix Barrier Plus Triple Lipid Peptide Cream. That's a really nice, thick, triple lipid cream moisturizer, and it feels very similar. It's actually a little thicker than the two that we talked about just a minute ago, but it does a great job. It is going to be more expensive though. It retails for about $50 at Sephora. I also love the Biossance Squalane Plus Omega Repair Cream. This one's even more expensive at $58, but I love the way that it feels, and that squalane is an important ingredient to help build that moisture barrier. And without a doubt, I love the Triple Lipid Restore by SkinCeuticals. That one is ridiculously expensive though, so that's really got to be something to consider when you're picking a moisturizer. Again, I like to give you a range of price options so you don't have to go out and buy something that's $50 to $120. You can get a $10 to $15 jar of cream if you're looking for a good thick moisturizer. Along that lines, both Cetaphil, CeraVe, Aveeno, Neutrogena, they make great facial moisturizers, and those are usually going to be more of a lotion consistency, a little bit more lightweight, I think better for normal or oily skin. If you have really dry skin, I love to stick with the cream-based moisturizer. Another one that I've enjoyed using is the Dr. Jart Ceramidin. This one also feels really nice on the skin. It's not a huge tube. It's probably about the same that you'll get with Biossance or with Skin Fix or Triple Lipid from SkinCeuticals. This one's about $48 again. So again, moisturizers are a category where you can buy something that's really good, but it can cost you a fair amount of money. Now, if you have more oily or more normal to oily skin, you might pick a little bit lighter weight moisturizer. That's where you're going to use a lotion or a gel-based moisturizer. And there's a couple of gel moisturizers that I like quite a bit. One of those is going to be the CeraVe PM lotion. It's pretty light. You also might find that the Selfless by Hyram moisturizer has about that same consistency and is very light on the skin. I think a lot better for oily skin or normal to combination skin. Not my favorite for a dry skin type. Aveeno also makes a gel moisturizer. This oat gel moisturizer is really good for oily skin type. And if you get any irritation, the addition of the colloidal oatmeal is a really good ingredient to help build back that moisture barrier, even in a lightweight formula. The Neutrogena Hydro Boost is another one of my favorites. I love how it feels, but it's very light on the skin, so keep that in mind and judge based on your skin type what type of moisturizer is going to work well for you. Now, a topic we haven't touched on yet as far as picking a moisturizer is, should you pick a moisturizer that has active ingredients in it? That is something that you can find in over-the-counter preparations. If you're dealing with something like acne, you can find a moisturizer that also includes salicylic acid. Keep in mind that if you're using a lot of other active ingredients, you probably just want a normal moisturizer and not one that has the addition of salicylic acid, because that can actually lead to more dryness if you're putting lots and lots of actives on the skin. We've talked in other videos about the Vichy Normaderm lotion. That one has salicylic acid in it, as well as this one by Cetaphil, which is going to be a pretty lightweight one on the skin, and it has that addition of about 0.5% of salicylic acid. So this is a good moisturizer for acne-prone skin if you're not throwing on a lot of other actives in your skincare routine. So if you can tolerate using an active ingredient in a moisturizer, that's totally okay to do. And if you do see a dermatologist to design a skincare routine that might include prescription medications, make sure you tell them that the moisturizer that you're using has salicylic acid in it. They may recommend that you go to something else. Now, if you haven't just showered or your skin is not damp, you can get like a thermal spring water to spritz the face down and then apply your moisturizer. So that is an option. I really love the thermal spring water from Avène, and La Roche-Posay has one as well. And those can have some anti-inflammatory benefits to the skin because of the addition of the minerals, which are really good barrier building ingredients, but that's not necessary by any means to use a spritz on your face before applying the moisturizer. But you can do it if you really want to add a little bit of moisture on the skin before you use that moisturizer. This one here is huge. This is the thermal spring water from La Roche-Posay. So definitely an option, but not a necessity. Many will also choose to use hyaluronic acid in their skincare routine. This can really help to hold water on the skin, but there is a fear that using hyaluronic acid, especially small molecular weight hyaluronic acid, could actually dry out the skin more, and there might be some small risk to that. You don't have to put hyaluronic acid on damp skin, in my opinion. I do moisturize on top of it, however, but the hyaluronic acid preparations that you get over the counter are pretty saturated with water already. They're not going to draw water out of your skin very effectively, in my opinion. I know that was a quick rundown, but I hope it was helpful information as far as choosing a moisturizer that will work well for your skin, how often you should moisturize, and if you should use active ingredients in your moisturizers or not. Let me know what you guys are using as a moisturizer in the comments below, and if there's any particular product you want me to review, I'll try to include it in an upcoming video. Thanks for sticking with me on this Skincare for Starters series, and let me know what other topics you want covered, and we'll make sure to include them to make sure you can take care of your skin the best that you can. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.